What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Now we're going to talk about something that I mentioned in a video I released earlier about Sir John Curtice giving his analysis of what might happen in the election 4 days before, obviously, we all go to the polls. During a segment just after the bit that I spoke about in the video earlier and showed you a clip to, we had the Labour MP Gloria De Perio on the show also, where she was discussing a Times article that headlined, "Labour are not trying to win the election," which we will take a look at in this video along with what she said during the Andrew Marr show. Because I think, in my opinion, it seems she is resigned to the fact that they're going to lose, and this planned coup in the Labour Party might well be in motion already. So let's take a look at the Times article, and then we'll see what she had to say on the Andrew Marr show. It headlines, as I said, "Labour not trying to win election. Party insiders say senior figures are focusing on installing John McDonnell as caretaker leader to pave the way for new hard-left protégés. Jeremy Corbyn is poised to resign as Labour leader and hand over to John McDonnell if he loses the general election, according to allies." In secret WhatsApp messages seen by the Sunday Times, union officials claim that McDonnell is exploring plans for him to replace Jeremy Corbyn until a leadership contest, which could be delayed until autumn next year. Under the plans, Corbyn would resign on Friday and make way for McDonnell, who would immediately appoint his protégé Rebecca Long-Bailey as Shadow Chancellor. He would launch parallel reviews of Labour's election defeat and the party's leadership structure, while demanding his successor be named at party conference next September. And they've got all of this, it seems, from some WhatsApp messages, more than likely screenshots of WhatsApp messages sent to them from someone inside the Labour Party, and probably quite high up, given that these are messages being sent about something so important and possibly damaging to the Labour Party. But it would not surprise me in the slightest if it was true. It continues, according to a party insider, Corbyn has told friends that he is unwilling to stay on as leader if the party is defeated, and is said to have cited Prime Minister's questions and the potential media hostility as the reason he cannot continue. No, it's because he knows he is a serial loser, and that's what the country thinks of him. We also can't forget the fact that he's under anti-Semitism and friends with terrorist claims constantly, so he doesn't exactly help the Labour Party's standing among the average voter, who's not die-hard Labour obviously, or a crazy momentum activist. This is definitely one of the scenarios that are being discussed, said one source. But I am not sure the timetable for the leadership contest will be acceptable to some people in the party. There will need to be a new leader in place to fight the very important local elections in May. And there will be huge fear that if the contest is delayed, they will try to change the rules to get their chosen left heir. McDonnell is expected to champion Long-Bailey as Corbyn's eventual successor. But another powerful member of Corbyn's inner circle, Carrie Murphy, is expected to throw her weight behind Laura Pidcock. And to be honest, if I was Boris Johnson, I wouldn't really fear either of them too much. She is among a number of women expected to enter the leadership race, including Angela Rayner, who enjoys a higher profile. The Shadow Education Secretary last night did not rule out running, but said her focus was the election, adding, "I cannot think of not winning. I don't even want to go back to that bleak place." But this weekend, Murphy, who left her post as Corbyn's Chief of Staff in October to lead the party's election strategy, is facing claims that she has prioritised rigging the forthcoming leadership contest over winning this week, which would be a rather incredible thing to find out is true, but to be honest with you, as someone who despises Labour with a passion, I would not complain. She is also under fire for using community organisers to run a parallel campaign. They are only organising events and visits for the core group of shadow ministers, which include Pidcock, Lavery and Dan Carden, said one senior party insider. People in Labour's Southside headquarters think it is Carrie using the machine to rig whatever happens next, rather than using the machine to win the election. Momentum is also facing accusations that it is directing Labour activists to help defend the seats of Corbynistas rather than target winnable or marginal seats. The group's online campaign map is supposed to allow supporters who type in their constituency to find events in the marginal seats that needs them most. However, analysis by the Sunday Times found many examples in which this does not appear to be the case. Supporters in 12 constituencies have been advised to canvass for Kate Lineker in North Swindon, where the Tories have an 8,335 majority. A YouGov poll projects the Tories will retain the seat comfortably. yet Momentum is directing its army of supporters to help her. Well, let them continue because they're absolutely wasting their time if the YouGov poll is correct, which of course you cannot trust a poll. But it might be correct, so pinch of salt as always. But I'm sorry, I will always be happy when Momentum are possibly wasting their time and resources fighting a lost cause, like remaining in the EU. Or the people who think that the public would be reunited by a second referendum or just remaining in the EU. You know, that sort of nonsense there. Campaigners living in 11 constituencies have also been told to canvass for Rebecca Gordon Nesbitt in South Thanet, which has a 6,387 Tory majority. So, possibly another waste of time, but once again, who knows? In Scotland, Gerard Killen, who has a majority of 265 in Rutherglen and Hamilton West, appears to have been abandoned, with activists sent to aid the Corbyn-backing Hugh Gaffney in Coatbridge Criston and Bells Hill, where Labour has a majority of 1,586. Killen resigned from the Shadow Front bench in June 2018 in protest at the party's position on Brexit. No wonder why they haven't backed him then. Let's be honest, we know what Momentum are like. And it does actually go to show what I've said before, that it's not Jeremy Corbyn who runs the Labour Party, it's Momentum and the people that control them. Former MPs who have previously been deemed hostile to Corbyn appear to have support directed away from them too, including Mary Cree in Wakefield and Emma Reynolds in Wolverhampton North East. The map does not direct any supporters to help either candidate. It's all about the narrative of defeat now, said one senior party insider. The general election fight is already over. The battle now is all about who will take control of the party once Corbyn has gone. Labour said Jeremy's plans for Friday is to be the Prime Minister. Well, let's hope not. Now let's take a look at the Andrew Marr clip that I was talking about at the beginning of this video that is related to this article and pretty much tells everyone that the Labour Party, or at least its MPs, are actually resigned to defeat. Because of course they know that they've abandoned their northern voters, otherwise known as the Heartlands.
Gloria, of course at this time in the 2017 campaign, most people had not spotted a big move to Labour. It was happening underneath the radar,
yes.
Things were going on, everything was rumbling under our feet. Is the same thing happening here? What does it feel like in Ashfield?
It feels very tough. And actually when you talk about that sort of big swing to Labour which emerged last time, don't underestimate, which was the untold story of that election, which was the massive swing to the Tories in traditional Labour areas, seats which are now, which had big majorities then, but are now quite low-hanging fruit, and that makes me really worried. Yeah. We'll keep fighting. And so this headline about Labour not trying to win is absolutely nonsense. I'll be out there all week from tomorrow. But what this story says is that if Labour is defeated, please goodness this doesn't happen, but if Labour is defeated, then Corbyn would resign on Friday and make way for John McDonnell as caretaker leader, who would then immediately appoint his protégée Rebecca Long-Bailey as Shadow Chancellor. I've no idea whether that is true or not, but I am interested in the next line, which says that the Labour Party would launch a review into Labour's election defeat. And I think, I really hope it doesn't happen, but if that red wall that we talk about, those Labour heartlands, if they fall to the Tories, I think we have to resolve never ever again will these seats be on the table for the Labour Party. They're not just parliamentary seats, they are the seats of our soul.
They're your history.
They are us. They are heartlands, the place
Gloria,
of our heart.
what's the problem in these seats? Is it that Labour is too left-wing, or is it it's too socially liberal? Because, of course, the membership you now have got is undoubtedly both socially liberal and on the left.
All political parties' memberships are way too posh, but this is a particular problem for the Labour Party, the Workers' Party. And what I would do, as part of this rebuilding process, is I would actually say, if you want to, you can't charge working class people 50 quid to be a party member, free membership for anyone on the minimum wage. That might help us.
But of course, you are no longer a working class party. You're a party of young people, not a party of the working class.
So at the start of that clip, you can instantly tell that Andrew Marr has a very anti-Tory bias about him, which is also seen earlier on in this clip when he talks about the newspaper. I didn't bother including it just for the sake of time. So you heard her instantly downplaying the actual chances of Labour, saying that you're underestimating the Tory swing that happened in 2017 and is possible to happen again, which has got her worried. She actually said that it's very tough out on the door at the moment, and I can imagine it is, especially if you're up north in the Labour heartlands, as she said. Which then brings her onto the article that we just took a look at. where you heard her refuse to deny the actual coup against Corbyn that is, from the sounds of it, happening now based around WhatsApp messages, in preparation of course for Corbyn losing the election on Thursday, come Friday morning anyway. It won't actually be Thursday. As you heard her say, she doesn't know about the Corbyn resigning and McDonnell taking over with Rebecca Long-Bailey as Shadow Chancellor, which tells me she probably does know but she can't say it on TV. She is of course more focused on the actual review of Labour's election defeat and the party leadership structure afterwards that she brings up quite prominently. You even hear it in her voice when she's talking about the Labour's so-called red wall falling to the Tories, which, from her body language and the way she's speaking to me, says she already thinks or knows is going to happen, based around, like I said earlier, her interactions with the public out on the door. She thinks that this review would need to be to ensure that the Labour Party never gives up on its heartlands again, like it has done now under Jeremy Corbyn. Because as I and many have said, the Labour Party is now very much focused on the young and London, not in any way the working class or the north of England, where their traditional heartlands of course are. Since as this woman knows, since as Gloria seems to know, these traditional Labour voters are the key ones who have kept them in power over the years and given them half a chance. Now they have turned their back on them, so the voters are turning their back on the Labour Party, and some of that is going to be Brexit of course, but I think a lot of it is going to be Jeremy Corbyn. Which is kind of funny because I don't really see John McDonnell taking over as being anything different to Jeremy Corbyn. He's just as bad, so they're not actually going to bring any voters back by the looks of it. But I think this article and her reaction on the Andrew Marr show is very telling for Labour, in a sense that it tells me that they know they're going to lose and are just preparing for the aftermath of that defeat, hoping that it won't be terrible because of course the media reports. And like the article said, Corbyn is worried that he is going to get skewered at Prime Minister's question by Boris Johnson. Then of course the media are going to come after him even more. Which is not too difficult given he's a terrorist fucking sympathising shitweasel, let's be honest. But on that note, I will end this rambling video there. I want to thank the channel's PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.